Yep. They don't make games like they used to anymore. Let's go. Review some games. So, like, you ever played any point-and-click or adventure games and you just been like,
Yes, I like this game, but I want more alligators in it.
well boy do I have the game to tickle that weird little fantasy of yours. I mean, it's mine as well, but still. Alligator is a point-and-click adventure game with a roster of mini-games made by two developers, Pillowfy and with its premise being me and all the family members relate to this little guy named Pat the Alligator, who thinks they're all trying to kill him, because his family's the Mafia. Just sitting in the menu screen for a sec gives an overall step into the premise the game presents. We got Patty Dearest, sitting alone, looking desperate, while we got a spiky glove for a hand.
Well, ain't that nice?
Popping over the options menu, there seems to be quite the collectibles we could obtain, so you know I'm gonna collect them all to fill that emptiness inside me. And let's just hear that bopping music though. Alright, let's just get to the game. You start off in a hotel lobby seeing Pat sitting there like a lost child. Aww. After enough persisting, you can sit down with him and he immediately lore dumps you about his family. Apparently, it's his birthday and they're planning on killing him with this big event, quote unquote, for squealing about them.
What is the fucking mafia do?
As you might be surprised to hear, I absolutely adore this guy. All of his animations and character design just had that feel of wanting to protect this dude.
I've only had Arlo for a day and a half, but if anything happened to him, I would kill everyone in this room and then myself.
So you agree to help him, stalk his family members, and see what the big event is all about. Before you say anything, yes, the game does give you the suggestion it's practically a birthday party. But there's a lot more than meets the eye, and I won't spoil the ending for peeps. So you leave the hotel and cue the title screen.
Whoa, yeah.
Okay, so in this section of the video, I'm going to use my pro gamer powers to analyze why I think this first taste of freedom is a great move on the developer's part. But first I gotta change real quick to something more formal to show I know what I'm really talking about. Alright, let's go. So with all point-and-click adventure games, it's important to hook the player to complete the game by their first few hours of gameplay. With the interface control literally just being point-and-click, you gotta have a lot of options to give them that wow factor or game flow. It worked back when games were growing and experimented, but the genre's now been done enough. When your audience plays your game, they expect it to be like some other point-and-click adventure game as well. So in order for the player to know what your game is all about, and show some uniqueness to it, the first encounter should mean a lot to see if the formula makes or breaks immersion and interest. So here we have Slick Mickey.
Hey, how you doing?
As the first family member the player meets. You can tell from the first lines of dialogue this guy is as shifty as Parliament in Brexit, so we should keep an eye on him. You immediately pull out your Mr. Detective notepad and ask him the real questions.
Whom pat the event?
You'll be asking that throughout the adventure with all the family members you find. Once they answer your questions, Mr. Mickers wants a favor in return. Play a minigame for further info on what's really going on around here. So the game Mickey throws at you is like any other street game vendor. Follow the queen card and guess where she is. Mickey, not being the brightest coin in the booty of intelligence, doesn't even touch the card, and gives away where she is with a subtle eye twitch down at the card. As you hover your hand over to the queen, Mickey can barely hold his excitement, while picking any other card makes him look like he's listening to lo-fi on his AirPods. Picking the right card, it begins to push away. Keep persisting, it'll eventually burn to a crisp, and Mickey will just straight up eat it. Oh well, guess we'll never find out! So let's find out what we learned from that. The game wants to subvert expectations by approaching the player with a simple premise, and then applying a twist with a memorable conclusion. This as well gives Mickey a sense of character, using his expression and body language. A good majority of the game revolves secretly to be not about winning the game, but getting to know Mickey. The majority of the minigames approach this in a similar manner. The game wants you to know these characters, to love them, to care about them, and to even go on a date with one of them. Beyond that, Mickey gives you some information that this big event was long planned months prior, and Pat's really gonna get his, if you know what I'm saying. Great, we got such a strong lead, better check somewhere else. And that's the premise the game presents. All in all, it's a game with a lot of charm and all these unique characters you can interact with and get to know better. The minigames all have individual approaches to them, but also tie into the setting so organically. Like this, you're helping out with someone's photos on their phone and find out they're related to some other family member you've met. And in case you haven't noticed, this whole game is hand-drawn animation. Look at all this beautiful animation. There's so much detail to look at that from just the hub screens. It's like a little window to another reality, and personally I love this to be a live wallpaper on my desktop. The soundtrack is no different either. It's amazing. The composer had the initial melody from the game title sequence be implemented into the other tracks with different variants and tone to have the player remember the music, but also make the transition from different locations a lot more organic, keeping the same premise that this is the same world. The game plays almost like a gentle stroll through your local park. A refreshing and heartwarming experience, but only for those interested or want to take a break from their comfort zone to appreciate the animation and setting made by a handful of people. Alright, that's enough for today. I wanted to make this video a lot longer and go into a better depth review on the entire game, but due to delays with university and me getting ill several times during the 2 months of this development, I wanted to at least finish it and know what I want to do better. This is where most people would have a Patreon thank you section, but I don't have one, so I'm just going to finish it with people I know to sell my person enough for you to watch my future videos whenever I get the motivation to make them. So, Not Very Creative says, I don't have an opinion. A Juicy Boy says, beard. Total War 700 Hours says, a faggot. Robert Pissed in My Cheerios Carol says, let me think about it and I'll get back to you tomorrow. When's the deadline? Sniff Lines and Bang 9 says, if Gimli and Legolas ended up having a child for a pseudo bone marrow IVF treatment, but then they had a messy divorce and left the kid to fend for themselves in the streets, you would kind of have a picture of Kobold Cake. But then at the same time, he doesn't have the survival skills to survive in Middle-earth. Keep the beard and the sass, but the royal family would only give him 2 out of 5 stars because of the profanity. Also, do I order Mackies? And that's it. Okay, bye-bye! Bye-bye!